Welcome to Fireside Nets, brought to you by Empire Sports Media. We are your hosts, Spen and Nick, and today the theme is everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team.
We don't have the rights to that song.
Yeah, no, we don't. But look, obviously, Nets fans, we got some really, really good stuff going on as far as the actual basketball that's being played goes. 18-2 in the last 20 games with losses only to the Boston Celtics and Chicago Bulls. That is the best 20-game stretch in Nets franchise history.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that fact. That's even including the ABA.
I believe so. So I don't want to take
that's including the Long Island Nets.
Yes, and the ones that played in the Teaneck Armory.
Wow.
I don't want to take anything away from this moment. If you're a Nets fan, enjoy it. Because obviously we got some not so great news after that Heat game. Kevin Durant fell on by Jimmy Butler.
Fuck you, Jimmy Butler. Dirty player trying to injure our guys.
It wasn't a dirty play. It was an unfortunate situation.
Who is this guy? Quay Walker?
Yeah, I saw that. That was a little embarrassing. But Quay did apologize via Twitter, so I give him some credit. Look, Durant goes down, hurts his knee. News comes out today. It's an MCL sprain. They're not telling us the severity of it yet. They initially said, they're going to give him 2 weeks and then reevaluate him. People went crazy and they're like, oh, he'll be back in 2 weeks. It's not as bad as last year. I don't think they read the actual sentence. Basically, now everyone's thinking he's going to be out at least a month trying to recover from this knee injury. Now, Nick, what is the theme of today's episode?
Everything is awesome.
And
when you're part of a team.
Exactly. So we are going to be positive.
Don't ask me questions like that. I don't like that.
We are going to be positive about this Kevin Durant news because you know what? I think KD personally needed a rest. I think he's been doing way too much for this team.
So you're happy he's injured?
I'm not happy he's injured, but now that we have a situation where other guys need to step up, I think that this is a crucial moment for the Nets. And I think in a lot of ways, guys like Ben Simmons, guys like TJ Warren, guys like Cam Thomas can get more run. They can get more shots up. They can work on their game while basically the maestro of the NBA, Kevin Durant, is out with a knee injury. So I do like this. I'm trying to be positive, Nick. Obviously, I can come on here. I can scream to the heavens, what have you done with Kevin Durant? But I'm not going to do that because everything is awesome if you're a Brooklyn Nets fan, and everything is cool if you're part of a team. Shout out
quoting the Lego movie.
Well, you didn't let me finish. I wanted to shout out Royce O'Neal. He is the definition of being part of a team. That's where I want to start. I just wanted to be positive about the KD stuff. Maybe I've gone off the rails a little bit. What do you think?
You look like you deal shitty weed. You're wearing a USC cap, like a snow cap, and you're in a robe. Like you're that guy who you don't want to buy weed from, but there's no other weed available, and you still live with your mom. Also,
first of all,
make the screens bigger. You have to press the thing.
Sure, press the button. First of all, it's laundry day.
What do you have? Absolutely nothing left but a snow cap and a robe?
Second of all, how many weed dealers do you know who wear robes?
Okay, it's laundry day, so it means you wore every possible acceptable item of clothing, and now you have, what do you have, a towel around your waist right now?
No, I got sweatpants on. Dude, maybe I'm just doing my best Josh Peck from Snow Day impression. Have you ever thought of that?
No,
wasn't his nickname Robe?
Did you know Josh Peck is in the new Christopher Nolan movie, Oppenheimer?
I saw that, Oppenheimer, yeah.
All right, sorry. We can go back to the Nets. I just don't like what you're doing with your life.
Okay, so look, staying on the positive bandwagon, Nets are 18-2. They've grinded out 2 gritty wins this week against the Pelicans and the Heat. We're going to get into both games, but I'll start here. Do you think this is the best Nets team we've seen since Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving have been here? Basically saying, do you think that this current roster is better than the roster with James Harden and better than the roster with Jared Allen and Karis LeVert?
Yes, definitely Levert and Allen. I love those guys, but that was still a developing roster. Levert hasn't even really, I think, hit his stardom. And Jared Allen, they're playing with Mobley and Garland and Mitchell. They're kind of still the 4 or 5 guys, so they haven't got the attention they deserve, the looks they deserve to really grow into those positions. So yes, Harden, yeah, dude. I don't want to say I told you so, but I was the one who said Simmons at his best is a better fit and a better third superstar than James Harden. He plays defense, he rebounds, he passes. Okay. You have Irving and Durant, who have improved their assist to turnover margin over the season. They're both getting better when dishing it off, especially Irving, because Durant always found the open guy if he needed to. Irving was the most selfish dude. He's actually looking for open guys. He's using Claxton now on the oop. So I appreciate that they're passing more. With that said, Irving, Durant, and Harden are all score-first players. Why would you have 3 score-first players on the same roster? So Ben Simmons is the balance they needed, where he could score, but he doesn't need to. He's coming into his own where he's actually being able to finish around the rim now when he has a mismatch on him. But he's pass first, he's defense, he's rebound first. Always been a better play. Also, look at the depth around us now, dude. I mean, Bruce Brown came into his own, but we were going Kessler Edwards in a 6th or 7th position at one point. He's not even on our. I was gonna say he's not even on our roster. He's on our roster, but I meant like he's not even like on the horizon to be playing because
he's not in the rotation. Right.
No, I don't like the word rotation. He's not on the horizon. So we now have a much deeper bench. We have a much more balanced team. We've got size in Claxton. He's come into his own. He's now second behind Brook Lopez in blocks per game, and I think total blocks in the league. And I think he the leader in dunks. Last time I checked, he was.
I don't know when the last time you
I'll
checked.
I'll cross-reference that. So to answer your question, yes, it's the best team we've had. It's sad to see Durant go down, but these last 2 or 3 weeks have been a fucking blast to watch.
They absolutely have, Nick. And I want to get to this Heat Nets game from Sunday night.
Rudy Gobert. Hold on. All right, you keep talking. I'm going to see if I can find the most dunks in the league.
Don't just shout out Rudy Gobert's name in the middle of the podcast.
Rudy Gobert!
It's the reason that COVID happened. Okay, so Nets win 102-101. This is a game that I know Nets fans will say last year, if Steve Nash is the head coach, they lose this game. Third quarter, we're playing we're basically shutting Miami down on offense in that third quarter. And then of course Durant goes down. I'm sorry, they outscored us 18-13 in that third. So we weren't shutting them down, they were shutting us down. Durant goes down, Jimmy falls on him, and then, that was a moment where how is this Nets team going to respond? Are they going to fold to this Heat team at home? Or are they going to come up and stand up to the challenge? And everybody stepped up after Durant went down. I mean, from Royce O'Neal with the big putback at the end, Seth Curry. This is the definition of a professional, right? Seth Curry has not gotten the run that he probably thought he'd be getting this season. He's been on the bench, playing not meaningful minutes a lot of the time, but when his name has been called upon, he has come up firing. And that's exactly what we want him to do. He is the best shooter on this team. Pause. Seth Curry is the best shooter on this team. There's not a better pure shooter than him. He has been great.
Did you pause yourself?
I just wanted the audience to know I was pausing.
Okay.
Rewind. That's a lot. Cry.
Change the channel.
All right. So my point being, everybody stepped up. Nick Claxton, 13 points, 11 rebounds, 6 of 8 from the field. He was huge down the stretch last night. Kyrie hit him for a big oop down the stretch. Kyrie Irving, I mean, he's becoming one of the greatest shows in the NBA this season, and he has been for a while now. But it seems like he's stepping it up this year. 29 points for Kyrie, 10 of 21 from the field, 6 of 15 from three-point range, and 6 assists in 40 minutes played. Ben Simmons, 4 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists in 29 minutes. We're going to get to Ben in a little bit. Seth, I mentioned he had 14. TJ Warren off the bench with 10. Royce O'Neal had 8 to finish this game. Joe Harris had 4 points, 2 for 2. And I think both points might have came in the fourth quarter. And Yuta Watanabe had 3. Everybody in this game contributed to this win. This came down to the final play, after, the Royce O'Neal putback, Jimmy Butler had a shot. Was there contact from Royce O'Neal? Maybe a little
The
bit.
commentators called a foul. He goes, foul. Oh, wait, no.
Yeah, no, if you watch the play again,
I didn't think it was a foul.
Jimmy Butler traveled when he got the ball. So it was kind of a missed call because Jimmy Butler catches the ball, moves his pivot foot, makes a move. Royce O'Neal, maybe he didn't go straight up, but it was so slightly not straight up that, at the end of the game, I don't blame the refs for not calling that. Nets hold on without KD. I mean, you love to see it, Nick. What was your reaction? Let's start with when KD went down. What was going through your mind?
It was tough. Okay, it's never fun to watch something like that. He kept walking. He tried to play on it a little bit. With an ACL, it's like as soon as you feel it, you're like, get me the hell off the court. The promising sign was that he was like, this might just be a small tweak I could play through. He got off. You hate to see anything like that. I wasn't worried that it was a season-ending injury. Obviously, it hurts the run. We're a game and a half right now behind the Celtics, and I want that first place. I want it real bad, Coach. That's from Remember the Titans. It was Hayden Panettiere when she was a kid. But listen, we saw the diagnosis. The prognosis. It's 4 weeks. It's better than his 6-week MCL sprain last year. It's not ideal, especially with the run we're on, but you saw the team rally. And isn't that Royce O'Neal's second game winner of the season?
Yeah, you know what the first was?
I'm trying to remember. I could picture it. What team was it?
It was Portland. They replayed it in the fourth quarter of the Heat win, but basically Kevin Durant missed a shot, and with basically no time remaining, Royce tipped it in. He's hit a few big threes this year too. He hit a big three. Oh, I'm not going to remember this. Early on, he hit a huge three to essentially ice a game for the Nets. And then I believe he hit a few big threes against the Pelicans the other night. We'll get into that game in a bit. This was a good win. I mean, the Heat, they're a team that has underperformed this year, but we know how dangerous they can be when they get hot. Butler, Adebayo, Tyler Hero, who, by the way, he got hurt at the end of the game. You hope he's okay. Max Strus, Duncan Robinson really doesn't get any play anymore. Hayden Highsmith, did you see the story on him? It's really amazing.
I don't know his story, and I'd never heard his name, but I really liked his game. Also, the Heat had two. Sorry, I knew you were about to say a story. The Heat had two. I think it was Highsmith on like a bank three, and then Gabe Vincent on like a buzzer beater fading three in the corner. They had two hucked up threes that were bullshit that both went in. But that's a small side note.
Yeah, I'll be real with you. I don't think Lowry has it anymore. I think he's kind of washed at this point in his career. So I think he's a guy that, when the Heat had Dragic, he was able to make that machine go a little bit more. I don't love Lowry on this team. I don't think he's really good for them. Gabe Vincent's okay. Obviously, Oladipo's had a nice little resurgence of his career in Miami. Look, they're a decent team. They're 21-20 right now. It's a nice win, but I don't think they're as good as they've been in the past. By the way, the story on Hayden Highsmith, he was a sick D2 player. He won, I think, National Player of the Year in Division II, but the NBA doesn't recruit Division II, so he tried out for a G League team a few years later. He played in the G League for 3 years, and then he signed a contract with the Miami Heat, and he started against the Nets the other night.
And he looked good. Yeah. I didn't know. I was like, is that Naismith, Highsmith? No. Yeah, I mean, listen, the KD thing sucks. We were able to come together as a team. Our energy is there. And I know we were talking about the beginning of the season. It just looked like players were kind of slow and miserable, and no one wanted to be there, and no one had the fight in them. And we're really starting. And I think Utah is a catalyst of energy and enthusiasm. That guy is smiling. He's jumping off the bench.
You said Utah, like Yuta Watanabe. I thought you said Utah, and I was like, the state or the basketball team? And I was like, that's a weird way to characterize a basketball team. Utah. Watanabe. Okay.
I'm saying it with a Japanese inflection. Yeah, he has been a huge spark to me. And guys like Royce O'Neal, who are just hustle guys, and even Irving, who just seems to be building this camaraderie and this chemistry with a lot of these players, especially the younger guys. And I got to give Claxton credit too. Claxton, first and foremost, his play, the dunks and the rebounds just physically bring a spark to any basketball game. But his attitude, man, he's getting pissed. He's jawing. He's bumping with guys down low. I really like this attitude that we're building. I really like the motivation that it seems what we have to win a championship.
Okay, I got a wild question for you. Do you think that this year's Nick Claxton has surpassed Jared Allen of the Nets a few years ago? It's tight, man.
I'm going to say yes, but what Nick Claxton still doesn't have that Jared Allen has was an offensive touch. Nick Claxton could dunk it. He can finish on the rim. He's actually not bad off the dribble. But, dude, isn't Jared Allen shooting threes now? Like, Jared Allen has a decent stroke. If you said to me, who would I rather have right now, I would say Claxton. Because they're pretty comparable impact level-wise. Claxton's better defensively. Claxton's better block-wise. But Claxton, I think, has way more potential. I'm almost surprised that Jared Allen hasn't taken a bigger leap than he has. So I'm going to say Nick Claxton, and that's not just because he's wearing a Brooklyn uniform.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, when the All-Star votes come in, who gets more votes. Nick Claxton's on a better team. I think he plays just as big of a role, if not bigger of a role, than Jared Allen. You've seen his defensive stats. Offensively, he's got game. I mean, he's a lot of his points come off alley-oops and putbacks, but he has proven that if you give him the ball in the post, he can deliver. So just an interesting conversation to have. Obviously Nets fans
and just to
love
compare,
Jared Allen.
Jared Allen is averaging 13 and 10, shooting 60% from the field. Claxton is averaging 12 and 8, shooting 74% from the field.
But Claxton's got him in blocks.
Right? Claxton's at 2.6 blocks per game. And Jared Allen's at 1.2. So correct. Yeah, they're averaging the same 1.5 assists. So listen, Jared Allen's numbers are a little bit better. Claxton's better defensively, but I don't know. It's interesting.
All right,
I'd still rather have Brook Lopez over both.
Oh, stop that. We move on to our one loss in the last shoot. What was the winning streak? What did it end at? 12? You're muted. So you think it was 13 straight wins?
I thought it was 13.
Okay, whatever. It was our first loss in a long time. 121-112 on Wednesday night to the Chicago Bulls. This was a game where it felt like the Nets couldn't really find
maybe it was 12.
The Nets couldn't really find their footing, and in the third quarter, I believe they made a push in that third. Yeah, they went on they beat the Bulls 26-19 in that third quarter. Now, the thing that killed the Nets, I mentioned his name earlier, Royce O'Neal. Tough game for Royce. 0 points on 0 of 9 from the field. He took 8 3-pointers and he missed them all. If he makes 1 or 2 of those shots, and the Nets were right there within striking distance in that fourth quarter. They were down 5, they were down 6. I don't know if they were down 5, but they were down around 6 or 7, and they could have made a run. They needed one role player to hit a shot, and unfortunately, Royce and the other guys really couldn't do it. Kevin Durant had 44 in this one. Kyrie Irving had 25 and 8. Seth Curry had 22. Nick Claxton had 11. Outside of those 4 guys, Ben Simmons was your next highest scorer with 7, and nobody else had more than 3. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players who scored more than 5 points. Not going to get it done.
And you look at the Bulls roster, Pat Williams, 22, DeMar, 22, Vucevic, 21, Levine, 13, Desanmu, 17, Kobe White, 10, 53% from the field, and 12 more rebounds overall than us. So great efficient shooting night for the Bulls. And I think I said this to you. I'm worried about the Bulls coming off the Donovan Mitchell 71-point game. They're going to be on a vengeance to beat a good team in the East. And they did. They had to bounce back from that. So I couldn't be upset at the game. I can't fault Royce O'Neal. He's had a great season, shooting over 41% from 3. But with that said, a Bulls are a team in the East we might see in the playoffs at some point. I do think we still have the edge, but they got some good shooters. They're solid. Overall, I'm not too upset about this loss.
Yeah, no, I mean, we were right there. Couldn't get it done. Role players couldn't hit shots. And then, of course, DeMar DeRozan just smelled blood in the water in the fourth quarter. He went to freaking work, man. Every time he touched the ball in the fourth, I mean, he only shot 8 of 20 from the game. I want to say 4 out of 8 field goals came in that fourth quarter. He just couldn't miss. It is what it is. The Nets were bound to lose a game. I think we were all okay with this one. You're on the road. You're against the Chicago team, like you said, coming off an ugly defensive performance against the Cavs. You tip your caps off to Chicago.
Bulls are currently sitting 10th in the East. They're 2 games behind the 8th spot for the playoffs. So definitely a playoff contender, but honestly, they should have a better record than 17 and 21 right now. They have more talent than that.
I agree with you. So we move on to Friday night. Nets at New Orleans. This was, again, another game. The first half, Nets looked discombobulated. Lost the first quarter 28-27. Lost the second quarter 36-26. Guys like Nick Marshall, CJ McCollum were hitting shots.
Najee Marshall.
Sorry, who's Nick Marshall?
I have no idea.
That's somebody else.
Jose Alvarado had 17.
Yeah. Marshall had 23. McCollum had 28. And like you said, Alvarado had 17. He did try to grand theft Alvarado Kyrie Irving. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Kyrie didn't fall for it. So I was playing 2K before. I was the Pelicans, and what I'll do is I'll control Jose Alvarado on defense, and I'll just wait for the guy to pass me, and I'll run up behind him and just click X. But they always call a foul.
That's fantastic. Listen, this was a good win. We came together. I actually watched this whole game with my roommates, and we enjoyed it a lot. The over didn't hit. It was 230.5. It was 108, 102.
Shoots and ladders.
Here's what I'll say. It was a minor come from behind at a certain point to take the lead. And then we held on to the lead and hit some big shots. We should not be competing and potentially trailing the Pelicans without Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram.
I disagree with you, but go on.
I'm sorry. Who did you just say were the top scorers of the game? Najee Marshall,
whose name is
Alvarado,
not Nick, and CJ McCollum.
I love CJ McCollum. That's the dude right there. How should Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Ben Simmons, and company not be beating a Pelicans team without Zion and Brandon Ingram by 30 points?
All right, let's context is so important in the NBA, right? We have to look at the context of these games. You're coming off your first loss in how many games? So basically, you were riding a bicycle perfectly for 12 games, and you fell off the bike for a second. To get back on and start riding consistently at a consistent pace again, I don't know. How was that analogy? Was that decent?
Yeah, it was pretty fine, I guess.
My point is, it takes.
I just don't think you know how to ride a bike. Like, if you're gonna do an analogy, back it up with what you're physically capable of.
The episode is positive thoughts only, and you're just putting me down and you're insulting me. It's like, maybe you are really worried that the Nets season is just gonna blow up with no Kevin Durant. Maybe you don't have faith in this team. You're negative ass.
I almost became a Warriors fan after last season.
All right. Look, my point is, it took a second for the Nets to kind of get their mojo back. And in that fourth quarter, you absolutely saw the brilliance of Kyrie Irving. He was having an off shooting night, 7 of 22, 3 of 10 from 3, but he hit a 3-pointer and a layup and a jumper or two. I mean, he was just magical in that fourth quarter. Nick Claxton had a huge putback dunk, just 9 points for Clax. TJ Warren, another valiant effort off the bench, 15 for TJ, and KD finished with 33 points and 10 rebounds. But this was another gritty win, man. The Pelicans had all the momentum in that first half. And in that third quarter, Jacques Vaughn said, he goes, we decided to start guarding people. They held the Pelicans to 21 in the third. The Nets scored 35. They finished with, scoring 20 in the fourth to New Orleans 17. This was a gritty, grinded out win on the road, coming off a loss to the Bulls, knowing you got Miami in Miami on Sunday. This was a game that easily could have got away from the Nets, but they pulled through. And I got to give Kyrie credit. Kyrie Irving, he has been Mr. Fourth Quarter for the Nets. They have this wild strategy, Nick, and I think it works, where they literally play team basketball for 3 quarters. Yeah, KD and Kyrie will have their moments, but when that fourth quarter comes, Kyrie Irving says, give me the ball, get the hell out of the way. I'm going to work. and there's not a single player in the NBA who can guard Kyrie one-on-one. There just isn't. There's not a player who can guard KD one-on-one. But I
Yes.
give KD a lot of credit. He's been sort of deferring to Kai in the beginning of that fourth, and when KD comes back in around that 7 or 8 minute mark, if Kyrie's still going, KD's like, bro, cook, kill him. And that strategy has been working for Jacques Vaughn and the Brooklyn Nets.
Listen, I love your positive attitude, your can-do attitude. Everyone's best friends. It's all like hold our hands and dance around the sun. Kyrie Irving, as many big shots as he hits, that game last night against the Heat, 2 nights ago, if you're listening to this on Tuesday, January 10th, he was hucking threes from 8 foot beyond the line in crunch time. That was his game-winning shot. Thank God Royce O'Neal put that back. So listen, I agree Kyrie Irving has made drastic improvements. Scoring, passing, team playing, all around has been better for this Nets than without having him on the Nets. Wasn't he, if I'm not mistaken, one of the announcers, is either last game or the game before, maybe it was the Pelicans, he was a minus 25 in the first half of the game.
He was a -9 in this game, so I'm assuming this was the game he ended up being a -25.
So listen, all I'm saying is this. I love Kyrie as a player. He's made some comments in the past that don't jive with this boy over here, but we can't sit here and say he's doing all the right things. Like, we also have to criticize, Spen. Like, I know you love just like loving everyone. Like, you've never like you'd freaking probably compliment a terrorist at some point for like having a handsome face, but we need to criticize
that's
players.
not fair because some terrorists are objectively handsome.
We need to criticize where criticism's due, and we need to take everything with a grain of salt. And I think as much as we've improved and as much as this winning streak and how fantastic we've been, franchise record in the last 20 games, that's all fantastic. We need to still see where these gaps that need to be filled are. So I want you to accept, reflect, be happy, but also be cautious. Don't get swept away. You know, like Aladdin swept Jasmine away on that rug. Like, was that consensual? I don't know. But I think
so. My statement was Kyrie Irving's been Mr. Fourth Quarter this year, and you're telling me to relax because he missed a shot in the Heat game that they won.
Yeah, I would have lost the game if Royce O'Neal just wasn't in the right place at the right time.
Okay, but like, you live with Kyrie Irving's decision making in the fourth quarter based on the 18-2 record in the last 20.
Yes, I accept it, but I'm understand that there could be negative ramifications from it.
All right. This next segment is called Crystal Ball Time. Let's predict the future, Nick. I have a crystal ball right here. It's imaginary, but you and I are going to predict the future using this imaginary crystal ball. Are you ready?
Okay.
All right. It's 2 weeks from right now. The Nets have played home against Boston, home against OKC, away against the Spurs, away against the Suns, away against the Jazz, away against the Warriors, and away against the Phillies. I'm sorry, the Sixers. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. What is the Nets record with no Kevin Durant in 7 games? Tell me what you're seeing in your crystal ball, buddy.
I'm seeing a loss to the Celtics. Celtics are the number 1 team in the East right now. Without Kevin Durant, I don't see us. I want to win. I'm going to be cheering hard. I'm going to watch that game with my Boston buddies, but that's going to be a tough. So I'm going to give that a loss. Thunder, we could beat. I like SGA. I like what they've been doing. They even beat the Celtics on like their best field goal shooting. I think it was their highest scoring regular time game in franchise history. I'll say we still beat the Thunder. I'll say we beat the Spurs. They suck. Suns, is Booker healthy right now?
He hasn't been, but I don't know what his status is for like 4 games from now.
I'm going to say we edge out the Suns, but we lose to the Jazz and the Warriors.
Okay, what about the Sixers?
I'm going to say we beat the Sixers. So I'm going to give us a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3. I'm going to say 4 and 3 in the next 7.
Yeah, I accept that. I agree with you on the Celtics. I think that we lose to the Thunder. I think we beat the Spurs, beat the Suns, beat the Jazz.
Actually, we should be able to beat the Warriors. Sorry, Steph's not healthy.
Yeah.
Steph's not healthy right now.
Yeah, I give us 4-3
I'll say
too, but
4-3 still.
I think our losses come against, I hate to say this, I think they come against the Celtics, the Sixers, and let's say the Thunder.
I couldn't live with these losses knowing Durant's not playing. I hate the freaking Celtics. I'd love to beat them no matter what,
Well,
but that's going to be tough.
Nick, I know that, my motto is, be positive, everything is awesome, and that's not even my blood type, be positive. I think it's O positive. Anyway, or O negative. Um Last season when KD went out with a knee injury, the Nets absolutely crumbled. And that's a reason why Kevin Durant wanted to get traded this year. He did not like the fact that the Brooklyn Nets of last year, when with no KD, with Kyrie playing part-time, and then James Harden eventually, demanding the trade, he didn't like that they basically just plummeted and they lost every game. And they were like, Kevin, we need you. Come back. He hated that. So this is a very crucial stretch for the Nets and Jacques Vaughn. But I think that this team is equipped a lot better this year with the depth that we have than they were last year. What do I mean by this? How are they equipped, Nick? I'm about to tell you.
Was that a rhetorical question?
TJ Warren knows how to score, can create his own shot. Really nice piece off the bench. Seth Curry. I talked about Kyrie Irving being Mr. Fourth Quarter. Seth Curry came up huge in that Miami game. Absolutely hit some big shots that, when the Nets were down 9, they basically cut it to I think they tied it and eventually took the lead. Seth was the spark that ignited that run by the Nets in the fourth against Miami. He's been great in the fourth quarter, and he was good against the Bulls. He had a really nice game against the Bulls. They didn't have anybody else who can play other than him and KD in that game. Ben Simmons, this is a very important stretch of basketball for Ben Simmons. I tweeted about this on Fireside Nets. He hasn't had to do much offensively, Nick. He really hasn't. All he's had to do is pass the ball, play elite defense, get out on the break, find Kyrie, find KD. I can't tell you how many plays a game, and this is not me faulting Ben, that he literally brings it up, bounces to Kyrie hits a 3, and that's an assist in Ben Simmons' book. It's a very easy play for Ben Simmons to make. Get the ball to 2 of the best scorers on the earth. Well, now with no KD, he's going to need to be a little bit more aggressive offensively. I want to see him in the post against smaller sized guards. I want to see him taking it to the rim. I want to see a few more hook shots here and there. He's got to get up more than 4 to 6 shots a game. It's got to happen. So I'm ready for Ben Simmons to be a little bit more aggressive with no KD. Seth Curry, we talked about. Kyrie. Kyrie's obviously going to do his thing. He's going to pretty much be at the same volume, if not a little bit more. A guy you got to watch out for, Nick, is Cam Thomas. Hasn't seen a lot of run this season, buried in the depth chart, but he is definitely a guy who the Nets might have to rely on if they have trouble scoring. Now, we all love Royce O'Neal. We all love Yuta Watanabe and Joe Harris for that measure. But these aren't guys that can create on their own. These are guys that if they're wide open, they should make the shot. Joe Harris isn't taking anybody off the dribble consistently. Neither is Yuta Watanabe or Royce O'Neal. So my point is, I'm excited to see how this team faces this challenge without KD. I think you're going to see a lot of guys' shot numbers go up, a lot of guys' production scoring go up. And they got to hang tough because we don't know the severity of this injury, Nick. It could be a month, could be 6 weeks again. It's not going to be 2 weeks. We know that. Okay, so that was a long way to say 4-3, but I am excited to see what this team brings. And I think for me, like I said, the biggest question mark is Ben Simmons.
Thank you for that. I'd say Ben Simmons is an exclamation mark in my book, but
all right. So going back to the crystal ball, does Nick Claxton make the All-Star team this season?
no.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, if you just look at numbers, Jared Allen's numbers are better, and I don't know if that Jared Allen makes it. He's probably a borderline right now. There's a lot of talent in the East. I personally think the East is better than the West right now. So that's tough. I would say I'll give him next year if he gets those. Listen, if he keeps improving the way he's improving, and he's at 11 and or was he 12 and 8 right now, and next year's at 15 and 11, boom. That's a nice double-double. That's one of the best big men in the East number-wise. But right now, to me, he's just on the brink of he's below the brink.
Would you put Porzingis in over him?
Honestly, I haven't been paying too much attention to the Wizards, but his numbers are 22-9 on 47% shooting. So while still averaging 2.5 assists and 1.5 blocks. So yeah, that seems like a no-brainer to me. He's averaging 10 more points and 1 more rebound.
Another guy who's going to make the All-Star team is Julius Randle of the Knicks. He's a power forward / I mean, I guess you can't call him a center, but he could play center in the All-Star game. Anyway, I guess I agree with you is my point. Do you think
it's tough. Bam Adebayo, like the East has a bunch of solid. Like Bam averages 21 and 10. Like, come on.
And Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
We're forgetting about Joel.
There you go.
The best center in the East. All right, Nick. Does Nick Claxton win the Defensive Player of the Year award? Look into my crystal ball. What does it tell you?
There's a chance. And listen, he has the stamina. He has the age on Brook Lopez. I believe he has the motivation and the energy and the attitude. I love Brook Lopez, but kind of a seasoned vet at this point. He has a championship. Does he have the drive to finish the season as strong as he started? I don't know. So if Claxton can beat Lopez's numbers, block per game, total block wise, I think he's leading right now Claxton in stocks, which is steals plus blocks. There is a chance he could get defensive player of the game, but defensive player of the league. But I will put it at right now a 30% chance.
So I don't think it's between him and Brook Lopez, just because Lopez is beating him on some statistics that, like.
Yeah, I know, but you have to be in your position and in the aspects you do best. You should be leading. That's my point. I don't think Brook Lopez is winning it by any means, but if he's behind Brook Lopez in these numbers, then I'm worried for him.
Yeah, the only thing I would say that's different is Lopez gets to play with Giannis in that front court, and Giannis is an absolute stud defensively. Like, if you really wanted to give Defensive Player of the Year to him, you could. So that's the only reason because it's really, I mean, I know Durant is your 4. He's not the same defender that Giannis is of the paint. So that's why I personally think Nick Claxton's defense is more valuable, regardless of stats, for the Nets than Lopez is for the Bucks. But we're kind of getting into the weeds there.
I mean, listen, you're always going to have Marcus Smart and Rudy Gobert in that mix too, so it's always tough.
Tell me if Jacques Vaughn will win Coach of the Year when it's all said and done.
No.
Okay, I disagree. I think he does.
I think there's too many. I would love that. I think there's too many teams right now, like the Pelicans, like the Nuggets, like the Kings even. Like, there are so many teams that have taken such a leap, whereas we're always kind of projected. We're always kind of on the brink. Like, we always should be a championship contender based on our talent. But if you look at teams that are just were nothing last year, even the Cavs, man, like so many teams that came so far over from last season to this season. So that would be cool. I love Jacques Vaughn. I don't have my hopes up high.
So I'm looking in my crystal ball. It says he wins. It says he wins, and I'll tell you why it says he wins. Steve Nash was absolutely coaching a dumpster fire of a team. Yes, we had the talent, but we were not winning. Out he goes. Jacques Vaughn comes in. He had to deal with all the Kyrie Irving bullshit in the beginning, gets past it. If Jacques Vaughn has a winning record during this stretch of games with Kevin Durant out, if he's able to maintain a winning record and KD comes back and the Nets get the 2 seed, I don't think there's anyone else you can give it to. I think you almost have to give it to Jacques Vaughn. That's just my opinion, but I think it happens. And finally, Nick, one more question for Let's Predict the Future. Who will Sean Marks trade before the trade deadline in February, and what for, and who will he trade on the Nets?
Seth Curry.
You really think it's Seth still?
Gets rid of Seth Curry. He picks up Boogie Cousins, and we win the championship.
Well, Boogie's a free agent, so you don't have to trade Seth to pick up a free agent.
We trade Seth for money.
I mean,
I don't know who we would trade for. I would hope it would be a 4 or 5, even like a stretch 3 or 4, someone who could almost like a better Morris, honestly. I would love to see. But Seth Curry, I just don't think you can get rid of Joe Harris because of who he is and the time he's put into this Brooklyn Nets organization. Like, he's kind of a net for life, I feel like. One of those guys. Maybe you get rid of him at a later point in his career like we did with Richard Jefferson. But I mean, I guess that's what I hope for. I love Seth Curry, but I guess I'm hoping that we hold on to Joe and get rid of Seth. Maybe we keep Seth because he's just more of like a marketable player. He's a Curry. He's fun to watch. He's cocky. He's a good shooter. Whereas Joe Harris is a smaller market guy. So that would be my desire, but I'm not sure.
So I can predict the future. You can't because I have the crystal ball. When Sean Marks makes a trade, he is getting rid of Joe Harris. He is getting rid of Joe Harris, Nick, because the Nets have multiple players who do what Joe Harris does, maybe not as well as Joe Harris, but they're able to do a million other things.
Well, then I'm going to become a fan of whatever team Joe Harris goes to.
Think about it, though. No, just think about it logically. Royce O'Neal can hit threes. He can also defend. He's also proven that he's a guy. Royce is a guy who's always in the right place at the right time. He's won 2 separate games for the Nets through tip-ins and putbacks. He can get cold, but every shooter can get cold. Royce can do more than Joe can. Seth Curry can do more than Joe can. Seth is a microwave. When he heats up, he's not just a three-point shooter. He can create off the dribble. He can get to the rack. He can hit the mid-range.
Just like a microwave.
Just like a microwave. He is as efficient a professional scorer as they come. And to watch what he did against the Heat the other night, that's something that Joe Harris isn't capable of. So you have 2 guys I just named who do more than Joe. Keep going down the list.
But we
Yuta
love
Watanabe.
But we love Joe.
Nick, Yuta makes more game-winning plays than Joe Harris at this point between the both of them. TJ Warren has more in his bag than Joe Harris. Now, if you were starting Joe Harris and he was playing, say, Max Strus minutes, okay, then you have an argument. Yeah, that makes Seth Curry expendable. That makes a guy like, I don't want to trade TJ Warren, but it just that then you trade Seth. Because my point is, whatever guy is getting more minutes, that's the guy you're going to keep. But when someone like Durant or someone like Kyrie goes out with injury, Seth becomes a lot more valuable. Whereas Joe, his value stays the same because he doesn't have that ability to score off the dribble. He doesn't have that ability to create his own shot. So for me, and he's not a bad defender, but you don't have Joe Harris on the court for his defense. So for me, and he's also on a pretty hefty contract. He signed a 4-year, $75 million deal in 2020. If you're Sean Marks, you need a stretch 4, you need a stretch 5, you need one more big man to fill out this roster. Maybe you can get another wing. You throw Joe Harris in a trade, throw Day'Ron Sharpe in that trade, throw a pick or 2, try to make it work for somebody. I don't like the name John Collins. That doesn't do it for me. I mean, he's a really, strong talent. I just don't know if him, Claxton, and Simmons make sense on the court together. But if you can get like a stretch 4, someone who can hit the 3 consistently, that's a guy that I would absolutely look at. He balances out what Claxton does. He can help Claxton on the boards. That's the guy I'm looking for. So in my crystal ball, Sean Marks is getting rid of Joe Harris. He's getting rid of Day'Ron Sharpe, maybe a pick or 2, and he's getting back a stretch big. That's just me. No, that's just me though, Nick. I'm just some guy who's super positive and wears a robe to podcast.
All right, good to see you.
We got to close it out, dude. There's a whole process to this. I know you got to go to bed. Everybody's got to go. They're finished listening, but we just want to shout out Empire Sports Media. Shout out to Alex Wilson. Another year with Fireside Nets. Another year with those guys. They're absolutely fantastic. If you're interested in listening to any other podcasts or shows, check out the Fireside Knicks Twitter, Fireside Giants, Fireside Yankees. Those are the three of the most popular Fireside shows and Twitters on Empire Sports Media. Check them out. Alex Wilson, our fearless leader. We love you, big guy. Me and Nick will we'll all get drinks soon and watch a Nets-Knicks game. And yeah, I mean, this is going to be a tough stretch of basketball without KD, but I think this team is ready for it. I think we're built for it. Jacques Vaughn is the guy we want to go into battle with, and Kyrie Irving's not a terrible backup, number one option. So I'm ready for the stretch without KD. So are you guys. Let's make it happen.
Sounds good.
And as always, Nick, catch you on the fire side.